Guys, if you've put a few smaller real estate deals together by creating partnerships and raising money, chances are you've created a joint venture to get that deal done. But if you plan on taking your real estate business to the next level and raising capital for larger multifamily deals, you'll want to know a little more about your options. Doing so will not only protect you as the person putting the deal together, but it'll also protect the investor in terms of understanding the risks when it comes to investing. Now, there are two common partnership structures, the syndication and the joint venture. Each has their own advantages and disadvantages, but executing the right one is absolutely important to how you build your real estate business. Now, before I go on, all right, you have to note that I'm not an attorney. I'm only offering some high level information for educational purposes only. All right. You should really talk to a real estate attorney and a securities attorney to really determine the structure that works best for the project that you're working on. Okay, uh, with that out of the way, let's go on. So back in 1946, there was a case decided by the Supreme Court where the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, they challenged a man named William John Howie because of the manner of which he sold his pieces of land as an investment contract. So the result from this case is something called the Howie test. From this test, you're able to determine whether you're forming a syndication or a joint venture. So there's really just four questions to the test itself, okay? Number one, is there an investment of money? Number two, is there an expectation of profits from the investment? Number three, is the investment of money in a common enterprise? That is, are investors pooling their money or their assets together to invest in a project? Okay, and then finally, number four, do any profits come from the efforts of a promoter or a third party, like a syndicator, right? We know that in both syndication and joint ventures, there is an investment of money, number one, and there's also an expectation of profits from the investment, number two. You could also say that the third rule is also true. So really the main difference, what it comes down to, is the fourth part. Any profit that comes from the efforts of a promoter or third party. If this fourth rule is true, then the deal can be classified as an investment contract or a syndication. And if the fourth rule is false, then it could be a security or a joint venture. So if this is a joint venture, the investors are actively involved with the ongoing management of the deal itself. Okay, they actually need to have a named role in the deal, and you must be able to prove that they're actually performing their duties to that job description. Everyone, or the companies, or if it's individuals or companies in the venture, when they're pooling their resources to work towards a common goal, and all the parties involved are managers in that deal. Okay, so for example, let's say that there are three contractors. They get together to work on the electrical, HVAC, and plumbing for a big fix and flip job. Okay, a deal that they're working on together as a group. All three syndicators have defined roles, and they're actively working on the project. Now, and since they're all managers, they all have unlimited liability. Any decisions that need to be done, they have to be done by majority rule, and a single person, in this case one of these contractors, can't override the other two. So a joint venture is much easier to set up and much less expensive to form, as there's no registration with the SEC. It's typically just an LLC and operating agreement. But regardless, you should still have your attorney draft all the documents to make sure that everyone on the team is clear with their responsibilities and their roles in that venture. Okay, very, very important that everybody understands what this definition is. Now, if it's a syndication, then you're selling a security, which is a which is a financial document or a financial instrument, right? And you must have your attorney register the security with an SEC as a regulated security. So while the general partnership portion of the syndication is a joint venture, the partnership between the syndicators, the general partnership, and the limited liability partners, or the limited partnership, the passive investors, is that part is a syndication. These two are syndication, right? So unlike a joint venture, where syndication adheres to the fourth rule, like any profit from the efforts of a promoter or third party, that's the fourth rule. With any third party being the general partnership or the syndicator. So that means that the syndicators, right, they're the ones that are making the money. These guys are passive. Okay, that's what that means. So the investors are not actively involved in the management of the project. They are just passive. It's also worth noting that setting up a syndication is a bit more expensive because of all the supporting paperwork that needs to be drafted along with the registration with the SEC. Again, you should talk to your securities attorney about this part, and don't skimp on hiring an attorney. All right, this part is so important that if you don't do it right, could mean some serious consequences. It before you form your partnership or take down a deal, definitely talk to that attorney to define what sort of structure you need, right? If you form a joint venture when the syndication is actually needed, or vice versa, non-compliance with the securities laws can cost you tens of thousands of dollars in fines with the SEC, or maybe even land you in jail, depending on the severity of it. So it's no joke. Definitely see an attorney about setting up one of these structures. Anyway, if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Also, check out the Bulletproof Cashflow podcast on iTunes and Stitcher, and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. We're working on new material and new content every day to help you build success in the world of multifamily. Be great, guys, and talk to you soon. Bye.